Hello, people of the internet. Welcome back to Future Fiber. My name is Jenny. This is a channel where we do fiber related crafts, mostly knitting at this point. And today we have another podcast episode. We're at number... I never remember. Listen, number 6. We're at podcast number 6. Glad to be here. Thank you, thank you. You might notice, or maybe you don't, and that's honestly for the best if you don't, but I have a new camera setup. So if I look extra HD to you today, I had a camera laying around that I couldn't use because the viewfinder didn't swing around so that I could look at myself kind of as I was filming. So my birthday was yesterday, and I got a external camera monitor, so that's why we're filming on this setup today. It's not really about the production value of this thing, right? You're here for the knits. You're not here for quality entertainment. Anyways, it's been consistently 50-60 degrees Fahrenheit in New York City, so I'm hoping that means spring is coming, and therefore my last video that I put up was t-shirt patterns, and I am excited to get started on some of those, and I actually have. I'm getting ahead of myself. I should just go into the content. Alright, let's get into it. So I have a couple finished objects. Oh yeah, I do have a couple finished objects. I mean, the first one is what I'm wearing right now. It's one of my Maude tees. Can you guys even see that? Maybe I should stand up. Oh yeah, look at that. Long sleeves, long hem. Success in my opinion. This, I don't know, I just saw it was almost done. Like I had one sleeve left, and at that point I just felt like I had to speed through it. So I did. And it didn't even take that long. It was like maybe 2 days of monogamous-ish knitting. So I don't know why I put it off for so long. And I think the past couple of episodes where I was talking about this knit, I was talking about if I wouldn't have enough yarn to finish this. Oh, this is knit in... I need to start the information part over again. I got ahead of myself. This is Maude by Petiteknit, and the yarn is Schoppel Wolle Boots in the color gray, whatever. It's like a number, so I'll put it down in the description box. Yes, so I was saying how I wasn't sure if I would have enough yarn. Luckily I did. I didn't have to order another ball of yarn. That was a win. That was a win. A win is a win. It's actually not that bad in terms of length. I thought the end of the sweater was going to be kind of short. If you remember, I took off... Well, I don't know if you guys remember. I don't think I ever showed you wearing this. This is going really well. But to kind of stand up again and show you the length of it. I'm wearing a high-waisted jeans right now, but you can tell that, like, yeah, that's the... Yeah, so it's like cropped, but not too cropped. I can raise my arms and it'll show a little bit, but it's not that bad. I have about a little over an inch of ribbing on the bottom, and on the sleeves I have about, what is that, like 3 inches? And 3 inches here. The sleeves are not that bad either. They're not as long as I typically like. This is with a kind of, you know, me adjusting it to stretch over the top of my hands. I usually like my sleeves to come down to here, and then I'll like roll them up or something, but then I just want the option, you know? So overall success. And this, I forgot that this yarn, when I first blocked the sweater, I just threw it in the washing machine. Thank God it worked because it was a sock yarn. It didn't shrink really. But yeah, don't do that. I don't recommend it. So this time I hand washed and blocked, and it kind of got a lot more length to it. So overall, pretty pleased. This is not as wide fitting as some of my other raglan. So it's not like a sweatshirty type like my zipper sweater from Petiteknit is. But I am able to wear like a thin shirt underneath if I want to. And then, yeah. So that's my first finished object. I don't know why I talked for so long. I didn't even really have that much to say about it. I fixed this length on it. It's fine. It's good. We're here. What's the next finished object? Oh, next finished object is a hat, a little accessory. This is a gift knit for a friend. I'm meeting her tomorrow, or no. I'm meeting her when? I'm meeting her on Saturday, and this video is going to go up Saturday morning, so she's not going to be... She will already have this in her hands by the time, if she watches this video, so it's not that big of a deal. So this is a hipster hat, and it's knit with Lime brand Scarfie in the color Denim Navy. Oh my god, I remember the color too. I had a bit of yarn left over from making a scarf for a friend, as I said before in previous podcasts, I'm pretty sure, and I decided to make this. And this Scarfie is like, it's not really variegated. What do you call it? It's kind of like a gradient yarn, where it starts from one color and then gradually shifts to another. So how this yarn worked out is that the brim here is a lighter color than the top of the hat. So fun, nice, very nice. I didn't really follow the hat exactly. I didn't even follow the stitch count, so I would say I feel a little bit weird calling this hipster hat, but I guess I took all the instructions from it, so we'll give them that. Yeah, not much to say about it. I've knitted a bunch of hipster hats, and my favorite part, I think I mentioned this before, is the tubular 2x2 cast on edge. Makes it look very neat. It looks a little small, but I think my friend has a smaller head than I do, so I think it'll look good on her. And generally, I don't really look good in hats like this anyways, so good thing it's not for me, right? So that's my second FO. And then I don't have a finished knit object, but I want to talk about this because, well, it's my podcast and I'm going to do whatever I want. But it is knitting related, in my opinion. Oh yeah, I made a project bag, and it's jingling. It has a stitch marker inside that has a bell attached to it. This is a project bag that I made using some like dead stock vintage fabric that I got from some antique store in Vermont, I think, like 4 years ago, and it's just been sitting in my drawers. And this year, I think, on top of trying to destash my yarn, I also need to destash my fabric. There's so much of it, and at a certain point, like, you're not going to use all those scraps either, so you got to make concessions and just like figure out what you want to do with them. Either throw them out or give them away or make a quilt or something. Anyways, so I made this, and I'm very pleased. Oh, this pattern is a pay what you want pattern from Coolstitches, Nicole, on Instagram, and she has a bunch of free sewing patterns. I mean, if you have any interest in sewing, you probably know her, and she's also made some knitting patterns as well, namely the aesthetic socks that I test knitted for her, like, I think it was like a month and a half ago. So yeah, go check her out. This was very quick. I had enough fabric to make 2 of them, actually, and then one of them I think I'm going to send to a friend, so that we can be matching. So to the friend, you know who you are. That's all the finished objects. Let's see, how do we want to start? I mean, this is already on my lap, might as well start with the work in progress. So this is new. I posted this on my Instagram stories, but it's Aries season, which means not that I trust or believe a ton in astrology. This is simply an excuse for me to cast on more stuff. So I cast on a... This doesn't look like much right now. Let's see. This is the beginnings of a Robinson wrap top by Florence from Handmade by Florence, I believe her channel name is, on YouTube. And I love ballet core or like ballerina like looks, outfits and stuff. It's very dainty and cute and very pink. I personally don't think it looks that great on me, but I like seeing other people wearing it, and then so I wanted to hop into the train a little bit. So I mean, this is a side note, but I did adult ballet for like a year and a half, a couple years ago. I wasn't very good at all, but my favorite part of it was the instructor, the ballet teacher, would come in wearing her like ballet outfit with like the tights and the leotard and the little wrap skirt and then like a cardigan maybe. And listen, ballerinas are so strong, they're so muscular, but they like look very dainty, and they're doing all these things that make it look very easy, and then you try to do it and you look like a clown trying to tap dance. So it's a very humbling experience, but very fun. I need to go back. Anyways, that was a side note. But to feed into that time, to remember myself from that time where I did ballet, I cast this on. I should have finished the row. I don't know why I left myself in the middle of this row, but so don't mind me as I try and finish off this row, I guess. Let's talk about the yarn. The first yarn that I'm using it's yarn held triple 3 yarns question what. It's a yarn that I got from Ice Yarns like 4 years ago. It's a 50% wool and 50% like acrylic and other stuff yarn. If you know Ice Yarns, their stuff you can't really. It's kind of like Colourmart, right? Like you like buy it and then they give it to you in like big bulk, and then you can't find it. So I mean, I will try and like leave the name of the yarn that I got in the description, but I don't know if you're going to be able to buy it. And I personally don't really recommend it. I am using it because I have it. I have it from 4 years ago and I need to use it. So that's why I'm using that. I'm holding it double because this was listed as sport weight, but if you look at the single strand, I don't think this is. Yeah, there you go. All right, that's not sport weight. I don't know, bro, but it's not sport to me. And it's kind of thick and thin. So I caked it up so that I could hold it double. So that's what I'm doing. That's why it's in this case. I did the math a little bit, and I think I should have enough for this cardigan, but we're gonna see. I really hope I have enough. The second yarn that I'm holding with it is Drops Kid Silk. Oh my gosh, she's got some fuzzies on her. But this is Drops Kid Silk in the colorway 26. What is that? Cloudy Sky, I believe it's called. I love that Drops doesn't like list any of their color names, like the color name on their tags. But you can see that this is kind of like also color changing yarn. You know, it's kind of a gradient from this navy, muted kind of navy to like brighter blue navy to this sky blue tealy thing. So that's what's being reflected on the garment right now. The stitches aren't completely, it's not very even, and that has to do with the ice yarn having this thick and thin to it, but it's looking fine. I think the Drops Kid Silk is kind of filling in the gaps a little bit, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm not crazy about this color kind of combo. Like, oh, it looks actually it looks kind of fire on camera. In person, I'm not as jazzed about it, but it looks really good in the viewfinder. So maybe I won't hate it. We'll see. I'm gonna just finish it. I don't really have a choice to not finish it. So I gotta use all this yarn, so I'm gonna do it. The pattern I think it's very clear in terms of instruction. I am on the yoke increase. I've done the first section kind of the yoke increase, and then I'm doing the second part. I'm knitting a size M, by the way. I don't think I said, which should give me a little bit of ease, I believe, because I kind of like sized up. But I'm just gonna, and then my gauge also was like slightly off. It was like 1 or 2 stitches off, but it wasn't to a crazy amount where I felt like it was going to make it super big on me. And this is something that needs to be close fitting, so I'm going to attempt to just adjust sizes as I go, and I think it'll be fine. I am glad to start on this because I've been eyeing this pattern for a couple months since it came out, since she was knitting it and testing it and whatever. So I am glad to have this pattern, and it's a DK weight. Well, it's a DK weight pattern for millimeter needles, which is why I had to hold that yarn, the 3 yarns together. But I think, okay, hear me out. If you knitted this in single strand, like drop Lima, like alpaca, so you have this like drape, it's close fit. It would be so good. I swear to God, if I'm released from this, once I'm released from this yarn band, it's all over for me. It's all over for my wallet. Okay, well, enough of that. Second one. Ingrid sweater by Petiteknit. Where were we the last time I showed this off? I think I was at the body. Oh yeah, baby. I had just joined in the round, I believe, the last time I showed this off, and then now I've done the first mod stitch section since joining, and then I've also done the, what is this? I've started on the mock cable. And then I was worried. I became worried again because I wasn't sure if I would have enough yarn to finish, and this is Jill Draper Make Stuff Empire, and I got it at a yarn shop in Kingston. I think Empire, especially like the big fat balls of it and not the mini Empires, I don't think she does multiple like batches. So this might be like a one and done skein. So if I don't have enough yarn, then I'm kind of doomed. So I started on knitting the sleeve. So I'm going to do the sleeves, and then I'm going to go back to the body, and then I'll figure out my situation there. I have made some modifications to the sleeve as well as the body. Let's talk about the sleeve first, because that's what's on my mind. I haven't gone that far here with the sleeve. Yeah, that's where it picked up, and then that's the sleeve. Oh god, stitch is falling off. Okay, so I actually wrote this down. Let me look at my notes. And with the Ingrid sweater, somebody in the comments had mentioned before, I think it's Carla. Carla, if you're watching this is for you. Ingrid sweater, apparently there are some things with the sleeves where the decreases weren't really clearly marked. And people were being confused. And I, like, now that I'm knitting the sleeve, I get where they're coming from. So let me tell you the train of thought here. When I first opened up the pattern and I read the sleeve section, it said decrease every 8 rounds until you get to the mock cable section of the sleeve, and you're supposed to have X amount of stitches by the time that you get to that section, basically. And in my mind, I guess I read that as you're decreasing every 8 rows, and every 8 rows you're decreasing by 2 stitches. So like I was thinking there's going to be a knit 2 together, and then like slip slip knit or something on the other side, so you're decreasing 2 on the same row. But I read it closer, and that's not what it says. I had just assumed naturally that was what was going to happen. So I don't know if that's the correct way to do it, and I didn't me being me, I didn't look up anything else, so that's just how I've been doing it. And to do that, I guess it's basically like by the time that you get to the mock cable, you need to, if you're doing what I'm doing, you need to decrease every 8 rows, but you need to decrease 4 times. Yeah. So that's just what I am doing, but I have made some modifications, so I'm not actually decreasing every 8 rows, and I'll talk about that. So, okay. And oh yeah, that's another thing. The decreases, where you're supposed to do them, isn't marked on the chart, which you would think it makes sense to do. Yeah, because the chart is charted. Like, it shows you every row, so I don't understand why they didn't, like, mark decrease here. Listen, I'm not a pattern designer. What do I know? What do I know? Nothing. I don't know anything. So some modifications for the sleeves. This short row, so it has short row shaping on the sleeve here, and the pattern tells you to do a certain number of short row turns. I did one less than that, and then I also did one less repeat of the rib section than as instructed in the pattern. And then the moss stitch section here, I am also decreasing. No, I'm not talking about decreases yet. The moss stitch section, I am also going to do like half a repeat less than the pattern suggests. So, and that's what I did for kind of this section here on the body. That is exactly what I did. Oh my god, come on. Yeah, this, you're supposed to, let's pull out a number. Let's say you're supposed to do it, you're supposed to do a repeat of like 6 times. I did 5.5, basically. And I'm going to repeat that on the sleeve. And then when I get to the mock cable section, this is my plan. I'm going to, here, if you look at up here, this is 1 cable repeat, and you're supposed to do this twice, repeated onto the body and the sleeve. I want to do it 1.5 times so that you get that extra length, so that the proportions look better, but then you're not getting like, you're not getting too much length, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm going to do with my modifications, and instead of decreasing every 8 rows here, I am decreasing every 6 rows. And I feel like the rate of increase or decrease doesn't really matter as much as long as you get to that same number of stitches by the end, by the time that you get to the mock cable section. So that is just what I'm doing. If I'm doing this wrong, please tell me, and then I'm probably going to not take your advice, because I'm sorry, but it's just, I don't want to rip out anything. Like, you know me, I'm not going to rip out anything. It's just how it is. Okay. That's that. That's the Ingrid sweater. Not much going on, I think, but this is going so fast that I feel like if I just dedicated like 2 or 3 days of monogamous knitting to this, I could be able to get this done. So hold me accountable to that. Next podcast episode, I will have this done. My second mod tee by Petiteknit. I didn't really work on this. I know I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have this all done by the next. No, I was wrong. I'm just knitting on the body. I don't know if you can tell, but I am getting to a decent length. But it's not done, so I will just keep going on it. This and Ingrid sweater will be the main project of next week, I think. Like, I've been working on it too long and I'm losing interest and I want to cast on more things, so like I just gotta hurry up. So that's that. And then the other little guys that I cast on last podcast, this is why you shouldn't like cast on really like little things, because you just like forget about them, especially if they're in project bags and you never do it. They don't have a lot of updates. They don't have any updates, honestly. This little sock that I was knitting, That's going to be the scrappy sock. Cover my face. Yeah, there you go. With this Bis-Sock advent calendar yarn and some sparkly thing that I got from an indie yarn dyer, and then more Bis-Sock. This has no progress, and with socks I just, you know, I just really work on them when I'm on the subway or something. And I haven't really gone anywhere this week, so that's why that's not done. But I did take the other sock on the subway, so this has more work on it. And this is the vanilla ribs toe-up sock thing, no pattern, I just drafted it. Schoppel Wolle Zauerball Crazy color garden party, you know. She's going. I'm working on the fleegle heel right now. Okay, due to unfortunate circumstances, my camera has decided to stop filming. Luckily, it's shot about 30 minutes of film, so I'm going to just revert back to what I think was the last thing I showed, was the fleegle heel sock. What was I talking about? Oh, increasing for the fleegle heel. So, yeah, I mean, here you can kind of see like the increases that I've been making for this fleegle heel, and I'm just going to continue to do that until I, you know, have this sock basically. So by the time that I got to this part of the increase for the sock on this one, I ran out of yarn. So I ran out of this. So I don't think I did a good job of splitting the remaining yarn into 2 balls, which is why I believe I will be able to get a full sock out of the remainder of this yarn. So they're just going to be mismatched, and that's okay. But it is a transit sock project, and I will just get that done whenever it gets done, which I don't know if I'm going to be going anywhere anytime soon, so it might not get done in a while, but that is what it is. That is how it goes. The next kind of work in progress that I don't think I showed yet is the I cast on, you can't tell what this is right now, but I have casted on the square tee by the designer Aarohi Palkar, and she is on Instagram as well as Ravelry. Ravelry is where I found her. I'll link her down below in the pattern. This is one of the patterns that I mentioned in the 14 t-shirt patterns video, so I just wanted to cast this on immediately because, you know, with summer knits you just got to do it and then pray that you will get it done by the end of summer. And I've kind of research for that video with this yarn in mind, which is Noro Kakigori in the colorway, I don't know what the colorway is, but I bought this skein ball together with when I bought the Noro Kakigori in Naha for when I made the June top. And once I've knit the June top, I realized that I definitely had enough for a short sleeve t-shirt, so that's why I wanted to look at short sleeve t-shirts patterns. So this is a DK weight yarn, or it says that it's DK weight, but it's like on the thinner side of DK. So it's, given its fiber contents, which is like, I think it's like 50% cotton and then some silk and then some polyester and some whatevers. So I feel like it's going to be okay. It was pretty cool wearing the June top, so I would imagine this t-shirt won't be too bad. But I think my next summer t-shirt cast on project is going to be a fingering weight pattern. And it'll probably be the Moonset tee by Ozetta, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Before I cast on anything else, I gotta finish all the things that I've cast on. So that's that. I can't remember if I showed anything else after this, but basically if I missed something from the last podcast episode, it's because I didn't work on it. I have no excuses. I have no excuses other than the fact that I just got excited about summer, and after making that video I just had to cast on a summer knit, so that's why. I believe that was where I left off, and that was all the work in progresses that I have currently. And I don't really have any yarn acquisitions and I don't want to show anything that is in my stash because I'm not planning to cast something on at the moment. Until next week, we'll see what happens, but I don't have any to show you right now is what I'm saying. But I do have an interesting acquisition that is knitting related but not a yarn, and that is a circular sock machine. And this guy is 3D printed. Oh yeah, look at that. I got it as a birthday gift from a friend who has a 3D printer, and then he asked, like, do you want any 3D printed things? Because he bought a new 3D printer for his birthday, and then he wanted to justify the cost, basically. And I asked him for a circular sock knitting machine, and I really didn't think he would actually print it, but he did. This is a free 3D file that you can download on Thingiverse, and I will link it down below, but it's the pattern is basically called like CSM for my mom and you, and it's by this guy. His username, I believe, is Mr. Roboto on there, and a ton of people have made, 3D printed this guy, and it's interesting watching how people troubleshoot. A lot of the questions that are on that page I don't understand because I don't really 3D print. I don't 3D print at all, actually. I know how to 3D model, but I don't really know how to 3D print. This guy is, you can turn it and it goes like that. Very cool. This is the 60 needle cylinder, I believe, and I am missing some parts. I'm missing needles, obviously, and I'm missing the spring that goes around the cylinder here, and I'm missing a couple of other things that are small, like a magnet and some other parts. But once I get that going, should be good to go, and I should have some socks. And you also need to buy a ton of other tools to get started with 3D printing, with sock knitting. You need like a cast on bonnet. I mean, you don't need it, but the alternative looked like a pain in the butt, so I am going to buy a cast on bonnet. And you need like loom picks, and you need sock yarn. You need sock yarn on cones, so cone winder and all this other stuff that I frankly should have done more research on. So that stuff, a lot of it comes from a very specific seller that I needed, and then I think they're out of stock for a couple of the parts, so I'm going to need to see when those things are going to come back in stock, and once I do that, this should get, it'll get working. It'll be fun. What else did I say about this? Okay, so you can buy a different 3D printed CSM, and that brand is called Denim Beans CSM, I believe. And my suggestion here is this: unless you have a 3D printer, and or you have a friend who likes 3D printing and troubleshooting and is like handy with this stuff, don't try to print this yourself. It seems like it's a lot of work. It's got a lot of, not a ton of moving parts, but it's got some moving parts, and you need like a base level understanding of how this is supposed to work. So I would just say, if you want to get rolling with it, you should buy like a commercially printed machine. And that's basically only like Denim Beans, so I would do that. Why? Because 3D printers are very expensive. It depends on the model, but typically it's going to run you like $1,000, or just under. And at that point, you might as well as just get a sock knitting machine. Like, if you're not going to 3D print anything else, then what's the point, right? So I would just do that. There's also antique machines that you can get that are refurbished, which look very nice as well, but those are harder to come by, so just get on the, I think that was pretty much it. If you're a new subscriber here, which I believe there's quite a few of you from the last video that I put up, the t-shirt patterns video, so welcome. This is what we do normally. I just sit and talk endlessly about knitting. So this is usually it. Not a lot of informational content, but you know, anyways, it's fine. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.